and an organic polymer chemist. Professor Rajasekharan Pillai had held the coveted office of the chairman and the vice chairman of the University Grants Commission. He was also the director of the NAAC Bangalore. He was the vice chancellor of several universities, including Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam, Cochin University of Science and Technology, Cochin, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi, Meva University, Chittagong, Rajasthan, and presently, he is the Vice Chancellor of Somaiya Vidyavihar, Mumbai, and Chancellor of IQAC University, Tripura. Professor Rajasekharan Pillai is an elected Fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences, a distinguished Fellow of the Kerala Academy of Sciences, and an Honorary Fellow of the Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, New Delhi. He has been a Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry and an Honorary Senior Fellow of the Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, Bangalore. He is considered as a pioneer in the field of solid-phase peptide synthesis. Professor Pillai had held postdoctoral and visiting research professor positions in the University of Tübingen, Germany, and Lausanne, Switzerland. Professor Rajasekharan Pillai has been acclaimed as an institution builder. He was instrumental in establishing several centers of higher learning. He was the founder director of School of Chemical Sciences in MG University. As executive vice president of KSCSTE, he had established the Ramanujan Center for Basic Science. Today, Professor Rajasekharan Pillai will be talking to us on National Education Policy 2020, Opportunities and Challenges for the Collegiate Education System. On behalf of the IQAC and the CMS College community, I extend a warm welcome to Professor V. Rajasekharan Pillai.
Thank you.
I take this opportunity to welcome our principal, Dr. Burgess Joshua, who is actually the mastermind behind this webinar series and who is also the moderator of today's session. Welcome you, sir, to this webinar. I also welcome the Vice Principal of CMS College, Dr. Mini Chako, for giving us all the support and intellectual know-how to organize such a webinar, and being the support, I welcome you to this webinar. Welcome, ma'am. I also invite Dr. T.P. Shashikumar, who was the resource person and the keynote speaker for the last webinar, but he was present in the previous two webinars. He is also present today in this webinar to welcome you, sir, to this webinar.
Good evening, Dr. Shashikumar.
I welcome all the dignitaries present in this webinar, and I extend a welcome to the academic accreditation ambassador of UGC PARAMARSH scheme of this college, Professor Rajan, to this webinar, and I also welcome each and everyone who is part of this webinar, and I hope and I wish we have a very intellectual discussion and debate in this meeting. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Respected Professor Rajasekharan Pillai, sir.
Thank you.
Respected T.P. Shashikumar, sir. IQAC Director, Dr. Jyotishan Panikar. Professor Rajan. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the third in the series of webinar series on national education policy organized by IQAC of CMS College. As all of us know, the new educational policy will have a huge impact on the future of India. And as it is very vast, it naturally raises so many debatable questions and issues. The new national education policy is reflecting the internal and external social and educational environment in India. And it is only a broad outline being a policy. And so it leaves scope to subordinates for interpretations so that its initiatives are not hampered. Also, it is sufficiently comprehensive and prescribe limits and certain yardsticks to future action. These are, I think, some debatable questions and issues for the present national education policy in a philosophical way. Today, we are fortunate to have Professor Rajasekharan sir is digitally joining with us to talk on national education policy and lead the deliberations. And he will talk on specifically National Education Policy 2020 opportunities and challenges for the college education. I don't think Rajasekharan sir needs any formal introduction, though our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Jojijan Padikar, introduced him in a very professional manner. I am sure that he is very well known to all people, particularly in the academic field, as he has occupied several academic and administrative positions during the last 4 decades, at least, in India.
5 decades.
Pardon?
5 decades.
Oh, five decades, of course, more than 4 decades. And above all, to CMS College, he is a very good friend and a well-wisher of the CMS College. And the management of the CMS College is always grateful to Rajasekharan sir for his timely help in so many occasions. So with immense pleasure, I once again welcome Rajasekharan sir to digitally join this webinar and request him to deliver the talk and lead the deliberations. Thank you. Sir, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Principal Dr. Varghese Joshua, Coordinator of the IQAC, Dr. Padikar, my friend and former speaker in this series, Dr. T.P. Shashikumar, my colleagues, teacher colleagues from the CMS College, all other participants who are attending this webinar on National Education Policy 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me thank the principal and the entire team of IQAC for extending me an invitation to offer a webinar on the National Education Policy 2020, its relevance in the context of the collegiate education system, maybe in the state. I'm extremely glad that the CMS College, the oldest higher education institution in this part of the country, is conducting very meaningful activities of this kind. I'm glad that this is also an activity of the PARAMARSH scheme of the University Grants Commission, which gives the college an opportunity to nurture quality initiatives in a selected number of colleges according to the quality criterion of NAAC or whatever it may be. So when it comes to the national education policy, I remember when that day, when this was approved by the Prime Minister, I had a meeting with Dr. Kasturirangan the very same day, even before he is going to the press. We had an interaction with Dr. Kasturirangan and also the President of the Indian National Science Academy, then Chairman of the National Assessment and Accreditation, the current Chairman of the National Assessment Council, Dr. V.S. Chauhan, and a few others. So on that day, we have not thought about the national education policy announcing on that day, but we were deliberating on a very serious point. How technology in this COVID situation is posing a challenge or posing opportunities for the education system. It was organized by the university which I chair now. I was trying to put the point that technology cannot teach, only teachers can teach. Definitely, teachers have to be equipped with technology. We see the advantages of technology. We see how technology is definitely helping us to do the things. But we have to appropriate technology, and it is teacher and only teacher and teacher who can teach. No, technology cannot. Even the technology which is necessary for teaching has to be developed by teacher and teacher alone. So, of course, I am not going into the details of such things, but of course we see the advantages of technology when we are constrained with physical contact, when we are constrained with physical interactions and all that. We, of course, let us appreciate the technology. So when it comes to national education policy, it is a very elaborate document, well thought out, looking at the context of the country in a very holistic way, looking at the demographic profile of this country, everything. It is also looking at global challenges in education, how we can become a global economic power through education. All these things are very effectively outlined in the national education policy. So we also know that by the year 2020, the average age of an Indian, that is this year, the average age of an Indian is 29 years, whereas it is 42 years in the US, 46 years in Japan, and 47 years in Europe. You see the demographic dividend. So providing education, particularly providing higher education, employable skills to the youngsters is the challenge before us, and the policy addresses some of this concern. There is no doubt there has been a tremendous expansion of higher education facilities in the country during the last 6 decades in terms of number of students, colleges, and universities. When I postgraduated in 1970, then joining for research. So that's why I mentioned it's 5 decades of teaching and research for me now. We were all talking about the 5-year plans. I remember as a young lecturer in Calicut University, we used to attend seminars, how we can enhance the gross enrollment ratio from 5%. At that time it was around 5%, gross enrollment ratio in the country was around 5%. Now, of course, we say that it's 23 or 20, around 25%. Let us look at it. Of course, it has expanded in a very big way. I mean, from from 3 universities, we have in 100 years, we have expanded almost to 900 universities and 50,000 colleges. So it's a mammoth size. And definitely one policy, it's a policy. National education policy is a policy. And it is for us to contextualize the policy guidelines and apply it to the context of our education systems. And when it comes to this policy, it mentions about how different types of universities, how we can eliminate the wide categorization of universities. For example, when we do not, if you go outside the country, you will not hear a word like deemed university. Only in India we have this deemed university, not in anywhere in the country. There are only universities. actually, Dr. Kasturi Rangan's team wanted to eliminate, just eliminate all this, what is it, vast categorization, diverse categorization of universities. He wanted only maybe 3 types of universities: teaching universities, teaching and research universities, and research university. This is the type of categorization. Again, there is a categorization. Categorization we cannot avoid. Again, there is a categorization. So if you just look at the university's growth, so from 5% we have come to 20 that gross enrollment ratio, but gross success ratio, I am not mentioning about the real examination success, real utilization of this gross enrollment ratio. That has not really gone up. When it comes to productive utilization of the graduates from the universities, that rate has not really gone up. That is probably still remaining the same, or even less, rate is less. This we have to really look at it. Why? Of course, gross enroll numbers are increasing. Gross enrollment ratio we are trying to enhance. Gross success ratio, that means graduates are also coming out in numbers. But when it comes to the real utilization of the graduates in appropriate areas, I think the rate remains the same. You can just verify the rate remains the same. And therefore, we have to just look at the quality and relevance of the offerings, knowledge and skills which we are imparting through our colleges. And in the policy, there are several things. Of course, nobody can cover these things. So that's why I thought of just looking at the collegiate education system and the affiliating college system and these things. So there is a lot of thing. Of course, there is a lot of emphasis being given to good colleges. The colleges should become degree granting institutions. A college like CMS College to have been a university of big size maybe several decades ago. If you just look at looking at universities all over the world, colleges developing into universities. So even now we say that the institution should become these such institutions, college should become universities. Of course, even when we designed the PARAMARSH, I was also in the thinking process of that PARAMARSH. It is, of course, I do not know how many colleges you are nurturing. Of course, the university which I head now, we have 3 colleges which are leading under the PARAMARSH scheme, and they are nurturing 10-15 colleges each. So they should be able to, lead a university. For example, that PARAMARSH, that should be the beginning process of making it a university system. That this concretization of such concepts should happen. So when it comes to the college, the 3 categorization of colleges, degree granting institutions, we should also look at some of the ground realities. When we talk about 50,000 colleges, almost 50,000 colleges, 20% of the colleges in this country, 20%, please, I have concrete, 20% of the colleges in this country have less than 100 students. 100 students. And many of these colleges have 1 or 2 teachers or 3 teachers maximum. These are the numbers, 20%. You can imagine the number of 20% is almost 10,000 colleges in this country. That is the situation. So how, of course, bringing all these things, clustering them together, all these things are possibilities. It can be done. It can be done if there's a will, it can be done. But what is the type of investment which is required for doing such things? And then creating universities, very important. Of course, research is going to be strengthened. There is a lot of suggestions about research. Again, there's a dichotomy. There's a paradox. 90% of, not 90, 95% of the entire university education is happening in the colleges in the country, in the affiliated colleges, whether it be different type of colleges, autonomous colleges, whatever it may be. 90 to 95% of the college higher education is happening in the colleges in this country. Only 5% is happening in the so-called university departments and unitary universities where undergraduate teaching is there. Undergraduate teaching was not even there in the university departments. It recently started. Probably even now in many of the university departments, undergraduate teaching is not there, university departments. And at a time, even postgraduate teaching was not there in some of the university departments. Only research. I'm not saying that, of course, they have to do research. So 5% of the total higher education student population is maybe in the university system, postgraduate courses, maybe in the new generation of institutions like in the ISERS, and also a few institutions have started undergraduate teaching, very selected and few. And if you just look at university education, teaching, research, extension, consultancy, all these things are the elements of something. And if you just look at the PARAMARSH scheme or the NAAC, you will see teaching, research, extension, all these things. I don't know, even now the 7 criteria was long ago there. 7 criteria may be there. For colleges, they say that the percentage of research, weightage for percentage of research is 20%. For universities, it is 40%. Some of them don't take these numbers. But research is being taken into account, consultancy is being taken into account, and all these things. And when it comes to, for example, I was trying to illustrate that paradox. So if you just look at the research, the funding for research, or funding for exposure in research-like activities, maybe attending conferences, conducting conferences, fellowships, research major schemes, networked schemes, all these things, if you just look at, it is going to this 5% of the institutions. To the 5% of the higher education population, 90% of the fund is going to such institutions. That means 95% of the teachers who are teaching in the collegiate education system, of course, now many of them have postgraduate institutions, are also postgraduate institutions, they have the 90% population of the teaching and research, teaching staff, but they get only maybe not even 5%, I'm very confident about it because I sat on several committees and in the university. So this is a paradox. Those who are teaching undergraduate classes, maybe a few 2 decades ago, even pre-degree was there. Those who are teaching undergraduate courses and postgraduate courses and dealing with large number of students, they are deprived of funding for research. They are deprived of attending big conferences, international conferences, national conferences, and all these things. And those who are dealing with a select number of students, they are getting 90% of the research funding. Of course, capability is there. This is a real paradox. If we want to strengthen the collegiate education, because my emphasis is on collegiate education system, even though I have worked only in the university departments in this country, but of course I have traveled far and wide. My colleagues in the colleges know. I have traveled far and wide and interacted with the collegiate education system in the whole country. So this strengthening of the colleges will happen when this paradox is going to be eliminated. That is 90% of the research and all other funding going to maybe 10% or 5% of the total higher education system in the university department. This is one thing. Second question, how we can strengthen the colleges. So we have to think about maybe radical transformation has to happen in the way of funding the colleges. And if you just look at universities all over the world, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in the US, because we are just comparing, we are trying to talk about foreign universities and being to that level. we are all aware. Of course, many of us might have gone there also. At least we have read even now. You can see a Nobel Prize winner, maybe in literature, maybe in science. He is coming to the first year undergraduate classes and teaching classes. I am a chemistry professor. I have seen Nobel laureate in chemistry coming with, of course, chemicals. They have a usual what is a shopping wagon like thing for bringing chemicals under. Nobel Prize winners, 85 years old and 75, 85 years old, and they are coming and teaching the first year undergraduate classes. Please understand, first year undergraduate classes, not even degree, final year degree class, first year undergraduate classes. So a person who is well endowed with all supports for research, for capabilities and excelling, he or she should have the possibility to interact with the first year undergraduate student who is entering into the university system. It call it a matriculate. And here, those people, of course, now this we have been telling this paradox. As a result, many institutions, for example, ICAC are a new creation. Just Indian Institute of Science started degree classes. So there is change. But we are talking about not just one Indian Institute of Science or 12 ICACs or 14 IITs or 5 IIMs and all that. These are all, you just count the numbers total together and count the number of students total. Maybe it is equivalent to 5 colleges or 6 colleges in the whole country. That good big colleges. That is the number. So what we need is the type of qualities, type of attention, the type of focus which is happening in the university department should go to, in the university should go to the colleges, selected colleges, and they should be strengthened. This is possible only when a radical transformation, a radical thinking in the funding pattern is possible. And then you can definitely raise the level of these colleges, quality and excellence level of these colleges step by step. Of course, this is again a 30-year plan. I have seen it's a 30-year plan. No, by 2030 we have to achieve. That is not 30 years, but 10, 15-year plan. So we have to achieve that. Maybe the way earlier only for example, IITs and totally undergraduate teaching. They started with undergraduate teaching in technology. That was the success. Undergraduate teaching in technology, engineering. That was the success. Then in Institute of Science, and then of course this point was discussed several times. I was also in the University Grants Commission heading at that time with Marshall Kerr. All these people suggested that we should start about undergraduate science education in institutions. That is the genesis of the Pune ISER and the Calcutta ISER, and now ISERs are also success stories. For example, what is the difference between an ISER and maybe a science college? ISER and science college, they are essentially the same. They are after +2, they are coming to the ISERs, and after +2, they are also coming to the colleges. So we should create maybe hundreds of colleges in this country. Maybe on a phase-wise, we should be able to upgrade their capabilities and then strengthen the quality, research, everything. So this is very important. Therefore, there is a need for funding. And then we should also look at, for example, we should also look at the purpose for which an institution has been created, because Dr. Kasturian suggests several transformations. For the purpose for which a college has been created, for what purpose, where exactly, the context of the thing. And we should not just forgo that purpose, original purpose and objective of that institution which has been created, and then just ask them to come to a level which is not expected or conceived in the original plan. I will explain. For example, we also know, for example, we have, in addition to the higher education, we have science and technology institutions in this country, whether it under the Department of Science and Technology, under DBT, under Department of Space, under Department of Electronics, and of course each ministry, each central government ministry has an education wing. Even military defense has some sort of an education wing. Of course, they have also started a university. So all departments, particularly we observe Department of Science and Technology, Department of Electronics, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Space. They have started education institutions. Of course, you know about IIST and all that. So several institutions are there. Institute of Mathematics is supported by Department of Atomic Energy. So several institutions. There are 40 institutions under CSIR. So what was the purpose of creation of this university? I'm coming to that point. We have just look at the purpose. They were created for translating the knowledge which has been imparted, knowledge which has been created in the universities into deliverable commercial products, commercialization of the knowledge. That these institutions were created. Look at the creation of National Chemical Laboratory. You see it is the Pune University, old Pune University. From that Pune University knowledge, the NC, National Chemical Laboratory, came into it. It's a pre-independent organ. Just as National Physical Laboratory, Delhi, in Ahmedabad. So several institutions were created just to translate the knowledge which are being created in universities in these institutions. So that was the purpose of creation of the CSIR institutions, 44 institutions. And it is the largest chain of science and technology research institutions in the whole world. And of course, I don't want to analyze the impact of recently there was an impact. For example, several technologies were being created. It's not a critique of CSIR, but I'm just saying that. Of course, they have during this last several years, 8 years or so, they have around 300, 400 patents, and around 35-40 crores of rupees are being generated from these patents. But for getting these patents, this is the latest audit report. For getting these patents, they have spent almost 230 crores during the last several years. Of course, they are training all this. So, of course, in addition to that, they are doing a lot of things. And then, many universities, many research laboratories, even you just look at our NIST Trivandrum. It was started as a regional research laboratory. I remember when I was doing research in Kerala University, it was the Papanamgot testing laboratory. One chemistry professor who was heading that. It was the testing laboratory. Now it's a premier CSIR institution, National Institute of. So there is need of it. But what is the purpose of creation of that institute? It is for translating. It is for working with the university system, whether it be college or university, working with the university system and then translating that into that. But then, since this real things are not happening, CSIR itself has created a university. You are aware of it. CSIR has a institution. It is passed by an act of parliament. It is called ACSR, Academy of Scientific and Industrial Research. It's a university, so it is also a degree granting institution. So that's the point I'm mentioning. So we should not deviate from the purpose for which an institution has been created. And if that institution is not functioning, it is not the way to kill that institution and start something new. It is for us to find out how this institution can be strengthened. And here, when it comes to clustering of colleges, so I'm coming again back to the suggestions. When it coming to the clustering of colleges, we should look at these priorities. These priorities. For example, in Kerala may be different, but if you just look at the state, Maharashtra state where I am working now, or Rajasthan where I worked for 5 years, I can see that the type of rural institutions, and we cannot just say that this college and that college have certain. There are several things to be considered. So that we have to look into, take into account. And then when it comes to creation of research facilities, I've already mentioned that it has to be strengthened. And of course, he mentioned, Dr. Aspirant then mentioned about a National Research Foundation. He mentioned establishment of the National Research Foundation and all that. course, this is again the model. Of course, you are all aware. Many of the people in science may be knowing about National Science Foundation. So this is much more overlapping. It is National Research Foundation. But again, when it comes to research, it is not just National Research Foundation, because there are also disciplines which need special treatment. For example, even when we talk about research and all that, everybody is thinking about science and technology only research, as if nothing else is happening, nowhere else research is happening. When we start a research institution, they think about scientific and technological research. No, we have to do research in languages, we have to do research in humanities, we have to do research in social science and all that. And then, therefore, maybe the Indian Council for Philosophical Research, Indian Council for Social Science Research, ICSSR, ICPR, there are several academies. They have their own purposes. Their own purposes. And all these institutions should be feeder institutions to the colleges and universities. So strengthening of the undergraduate education in the colleges by providing appropriate support to the college is the most important thing. And when it comes to, of course, that is about the National Research Foundation, funding of research proposal, building research capacity at all universities and colleges, government industry research linkages, extramural funding and facilitative measures for industry support. These are the things which are mentioned. Of course, we have been hearing all these things. We have been definitely trying to do. Somebody may be doing it also. So there has to be an institutional mechanism to generate new ideas, knowledge, skills, and technologies through excellence in research, creating fresh opportunities for individuals and societies at large. I'm just reading it out. So very good, extremely positive. I am an incorrigible optimist also. I sincerely believe that these things we can achieve, but we have to just look at the ground reality. And then research publication, for example, say that in a college, if it has to be a research university, 70% of the teachers should have a PhD, all these things. And then publications, quality of publications, impact factor, all these things we are telling. But the main thing, of course, I mentioned about the teachers. There are also teachers in this country, not in Kerala, maybe teachers with MSc, first class, net sweat, even PhD, just getting 20,000, 25,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees, large number in many of thousands of colleges in this country. We have to just look at this part. So only when the capabilities of the teachers are enhanced, and then only we can really achieve excellence in majority of this institution. So it is also mentioned research, UG and PG teaching should go together. This is the point I have been mentioning. This is the model of ISA. This is the model of IM. This is the model of the integrated programs, 5-year integrated programs and all that. Central universities have started. But these are all very limited number. Where, for example, maximum integration can happen in an affiliated college where there is right from first year degree to post-graduation, and even in some centers even research. That is where maximum integration of teaching can happen. And also the policy mentions about the exit policy and then multiple exit and multiple entry policies. I was vice chancellor of a Indira Gandhi National Open University for 5 years. I was also heading the Distance Education Council in the country. Of course, we are all doing online. Today, this is the maybe 5th or 6th lecture for me from morning onwards. So now with everything we are doing online. But how many years we have been telling that online technology, mixed education, capacity building, but not, of course, even now, when we talk about online education, there is not even one university in this country offering a full online degree. Not even one university. Not even one degree is recognized even now online. Not even one. I'm not saying that it should be done immediately. No, nothing of the sort. But we have to see that. For example, technology has to be incorporated. hybrid learning, all these things. So we should definitely look at it. And then entry and exit policy. For example, after first year, he or she should be able to go. For example, some of the students who are not interested, they should be able to go out of the college with a certificate or diploma. I don't remember what exactly, maybe certificate or diploma. Maybe, I do not know what credit, 32 credits or something like that. Okay, so then somebody else should, and there could be an entry policy, somebody can enter into that. And after second year, somebody can go with an advanced diploma. And third year, they can get a degree. And fourth year, of course, 4-year integrated program they are consuming. Fourth year, they will get a honors degree. It's a very, very good concept. But this is also some sort of a what is that? Positioning with the Western education system. Very good. For example, in the US, there is the so-called community colleges. I was also instrumental in starting community colleges in this country when I was in IGNOU, and now the university. They provide the associate degree. It is called, in US community college, it's a very successful system. It's called associate degree. They can, it's called 2-year degree. It's called 2-year degree or associate degree in community colleges offer. 2-year degree. So there, everybody can come and learn. Everybody can come learn. There, we can see grandparents and grandchildren going to the community college together and earning credits and getting an associate degree and all that. And from that associate degree of the community colleges, there is a possibility of entry into the university system. And if you just look at many of the average students who cannot afford from countries like India, they are going to some of these associate college, the community colleges first and earning an associate degree, and from there going to the university for a degree. This is happening. I have even seen maybe some sort of maybe Nobel prizes coming out of students who have graduated from community colleges and all that. So in our conventional colleges, whether we can directly implement this particular scheme, it is definitely, it has to be, it's a good thing, no doubt about it. Dropout ratio can be eliminated. For example, if somebody want to go after 1 year, they can go, and then after 5 years, they can come and join. These are all good things, but we have to just look at, not for all institutions, it has to be some sort of a voluntary institutions, look at the context of the institution and then try to do that. We can, again, I'm saying that we have to look at the context of the, how many minutes more? We have 10 more, 5 more minutes? Maybe, yeah, maybe 5 more minutes.
Okay, sir, you can go.
Yeah, maximum 5 or 10 minutes you can have it. So then this is whether it's going to happen. It will happen. It's a good thing. But then think about why, whether such a system was not there. There was a system in this country like that. For example, what was our polytechnics? What's our polytechnic actually? Our polytechnics are essentially giving a level. Just a level 1 year or 1 year level down the degree program, polytechnics. And there has to be definitely some sort of a, when we talk about this, incorporating all these vocational programs into the colleges, we should look at the ITIs. We should look at the polytechnics. And there is a need for strengthening the ITIs. There is a need for strengthening the polytechnics. And from the polytechnics, 10% of the students. Now, even now, there is a possibility of entry into the first year or second year of the degree engineering program from a polytechnic. Of course, there are no students. 800 engineering colleges are going to be closed now, and that we know. That's a different thing. But the reason why these things are happening is that we are just eliminating something and then trying to do the same thing in a new thing. That's not. So we have to just look, that is the point I was mentioning. We have to look at the original objective of that institution. Whether it be original institutions like CSIR labs, whether it be several labs, all these things we have to just look into it and then do that. All these things are mentioned here. lot of research strategy, recommendations, all these things. I'm not going to just look at any of these things. So when it comes to assessment and quality of and excellence and all that, I will stop because this is organized by PARAMARSH and IQAC. IQAC, I am emotionally attached to that. I only started the IQAC, internal quality assurance cell. This thing was started when I was heading the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. And IQAC is just, for example, the ultimate point. Of course, I used to ask some of our students when I was in the NAAC and all that, some of this, who are you to assess us? That is, if you are going to assess a particular college, who are you to assess? That's the real question. Who are you to assess us? We have to acquire internal quality within ourselves. Within ourselves, we have to ensure quality. And NAAC is giving some sort of a mirror. I used to say it's giving a mirror. And then some parameters, asking you to just look at this mirror and see whether you are fulfilling these parameters, whether we are doing this. So we have to acquire, internally we have to acquire the quality assurance. So again, what is it? One measure for all. No, it will not work. It will not work. I can just narrate one real example, which I had seen regarding the assessment, quality assessment. I had occasion to visit a college in the Northeast. It's run by a missionary. I mean, remote part of from Shillong. It is almost 200 kilometers, more than 200 kilometers. You can imagine the type of hilly regions and all that. This college was almost 50 years old at that time, almost 50 years old. So this college came for accreditation for the National Assessment and Accreditation Commission. At that time, what was that? There was that 5-star, no? 1, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star scheme. That was the thing. So for some criteria, and this college has submitted the assessment. What is that? Peer self-assessment report. And then this team, a very eminent team, went and assessed this college according to the criteria of NAAC. But the report came. They were given only a 3-star. I mean, but the college came for an appeal, a detailed appeal saying that they deserve more. So we constituted a committee. And we just examined that particular college. They said the college was established several years ago. The objective of this college, when this college was established, there was even in their bylaws they state that their mission is to provide at least one graduate. At least one graduate. It is in the Northeast. Please imagine it is in the Northeast. At least one graduate to each and every family in that hilly tribal region of around 10,000, 15,000 population. At least one graduate. That was their. And for that, they went to each and every parent, each and every house, each and every parent, and then they encouraged their children to get into the college, and within 15 years, they could achieve 90% of the people, at least one person in each family graduated. And of course, when in the Northeast, if you are a graduate, you will also get a meaningful employment. And they were all employed. So they said, of course, if you just look at their building, measurement of their building, they did not have big facility. They will not have much of computers. They will not have much of PhD people. But they said, this was our objective. For this purpose, this college was established. This purpose, we achieved this purpose. And you have concrete evidence of all these students who have graduated from this institution. And we achieved that, our purpose, much more than our expectation. If it is not excellence, what else is excellence? So I constituted a special committee to consider, and the executive committee considered, they took evidence on all this, evidence on all these things, and that college was reassessed as and accredited as 5-star institution. So what I'm going to say is that It is, for example, we have to just look at the context, and the context varies from place to place. It changes from place to place. It's very dynamic in nature. That is very true of education itself. What we are providing in colleges and universities is knowledge and skills. And this knowledge and skills are for enhancing the quality of life and life management systems. Whatever education, whether it be philosophy, whether it be science, whatever, it is for enhancing the quality of life and life management systems. And when you apply this context and knowledge, when you apply the knowledge and skills for enhancing the quality of life, only a person who understands the context of the knowledge and skills can apply the knowledge in the right perspective. If I have the knowledge and skills only, and if I do not know the context of the knowledge, I may even fail in applying my knowledge for enhancing the quality of life. And therein comes the importance of understanding the human sciences, understanding the context, the cultural context, social context. And this, I used to say, this knowledge and skills, it is the text of education, text. And this text of knowledge and skills need to be applied in the context of the society. And this context is not static. It is very dynamic. It changes from place to place. It changes from time to time. And therefore, what we require in strengthening our collegiate education system, in the higher education system, is to look at the context of each institution, and the context of the subject, and context of the society wherein they are to serve this knowledge and skills, and have a real strengthening of such capabilities. This changes from institution to institution. This changes from teacher to teacher. This changes from place to place. So this is very important. This text-context correlation is nothing but the social relevance of knowledge. And these are the things which need to be strengthened. All the other things will definitely come automatically. Of course, when I would comment on national education policy, I will stop with this. Of course, after this particular thing itself, maybe thousands of conferences might have happened. Maybe not even thousands, maybe several 10,000 of conferences might have happened about national education policy. Definitely, it is important that teachers deliberate, teachers apply, and lot of good things are there. Very knowledgeable, very implementable recommendations are there. But what is required is an implementation plan. An implementation plan. That is most important. That is, of course, Dr. Suryangan says it very clearly after that, where there has to be an implementation. So, Professor Valyathan, of course, you know Professor Valyathan, all of us know Professor Valyathan very well, distinguished physician and Vice Chancellor of Chitra Tirunal Institute, founder of the institute, and then NEP, National President of the Indian National Society. He used to say something about policies, and we know the problems. We also know the solutions. We know when these solutions will be implemented, the system will improve. That we all know, no doubt about it. But when it comes to implementation, when somebody tries to touch on this and try to implement something, I think hundreds of objections. Hundreds of objections are there. Yesterday I was reading about my own Mahatma Gandhi University. For example, they finalized, the Kerala government finalized everything about the 4-year program, that program, all this program finalized, but the statutes are, I think they cannot implement because of the statute. I think it is for us to create the statutes. The rules are for us to create. That is where the autonomy of the teacher has to come. So it is definitely, it is not that all these things individually and collectively we know, but he has put, Kasturirangan has put it in a proper framework for us to apply. And it is not just for discussions and all that, it's for implementation. And therefore, people with courage and conviction, they should come and implement it, and then things will start functioning. And this has been happening. For example, such things have been happening. for example, in two departments in this country. One, the atomic energy, and the other, space. And in education, it was really that focus, that determination, that conviction has not happened in higher education. Maybe if somebody is doing something, of course, with courage of conviction, people will try to find a way to pull him down or pull her down and say. So it is in the implementation. I am very confident. Of course, when I say, I used to say, wherever I go, I used to say, I am incorrigible optimist. Whenever we are ready to do with courage of conviction, understanding the purpose, and with the sincerity of purpose, we will succeed. And let us hope that this will be this will be a very good document. This will be some sort of a Bible for strengthening our collegiate education system. So my emphasis on today was to focus on the 95% of the collegiate education system in this country, and how the topmost researchers, topmost scientists, topmost teachers who are having all these benefits, like, of course, I also were as privileged to get such things. Let them let our college teachers, or let such teachers also meet our undergraduate students. So this is something, for example, this I mentioned, the teacher in a university or a college or in a science and technology institution or a CSIR institution or DST, they should all have the same, some sort of a same type of opportunity to interact and educate the students, educate the undergraduate students. I'm not mentioning about the monetary benefits or anything of the sort. That opportunity, that is not even now. There is some sort of a unwanted. We didn't want it. Unknowingly, that discrimination has happened, and that should be avoided. And that will definitely strengthen. Let us hope that at least 1,000 colleges more in the next 5 years will become like ISERs or IITs or Indian Institute of Science in the years to come. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. And it is quite encouraging for the people in collegiate education that you are describing the new national education policy as a Bible for the collegiate education. And I feel it has lots of meaning, because Bible says lots. And it seems that you are very optimistic about that it will strengthen the collegiate education. Today, two groups of people are joining our deliberations, one in Google Meet, around 136 people are joining us, and another group in the YouTube channel of the college. And from this Google Meet channel, the people can directly interact with the deliberation session. And from the other YouTube channel, people can interact with the chat. May I request Dr. Shashi sir to initiate the discussions, please. Hello, Shashi sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, namaskaram to Dr. Pillai sir. It's always nice to listen to people with decades of experience. I'm sure, as I was also mentioning last time, you cannot revamp the whole system. All on a sudden, it never happens. So what is pursued earlier have got a long way to go further. And I'm sure there were a lot of initiative by Dr. Pillai when he was in IGNOU. He started the community colleges, though it was discontinued later.
It's there. UGC has taken it.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was shifted from one to another system. So the unification of the whole system will make sure that you are under one umbrella and there is a continuity assured to you. Probably that could be a positive thing what we can look at. And as he says, it's always good to, I keep saying, maybe the brilliant people go for teachers training in the TTC level at the lower level. The next level goes to B.Ed, and the next level goes to higher education, and then become teachers in the highest education system. So the brightest becomes the teachers and the lowest is always best because the base is created. It's also good that the whole experience of the higher education is given to the younger level. So it's a very good suggestion. And the lateral entry we have seen most of the time in engineering colleges from the polytechnic has a greater advantage because they had a practical skill and then they learned the theory. So that is one point Professor Pillai mentioned here. The ITA system, they added a +1, +2 with some added open school scheme. And I'm sure such combinations were tried in different parts. Now everything is getting unified. So it's a welcoming action. As he says, the implementation is more important. 20% is theory properly, 40% is practical, but contextual usage, production is another 50%. Let us hope all that will happen. So it's a great listening to you, sir, always, as usual.
Sure, sir, you can initiate the deliberations as well, inviting the people to join the discussion. You can
we should open it up for people to ask questions because it's not like me who no, here we have a person who worked in variety of stages, like being a vice chancellor of IGNOU, he initiated a lot of things. He was also vice chancellor. I remember when I was director of academic staff college, I met him in his quarters. I went to his house to meet him. Yeah, I think you should post the questions in the chat box, or maybe if, people should ask questions. Sir, how do you think that the state government hand on the education system, will there be a smooth going, or there could be conflicts and problems in the days to come?
There could be conflict in the not in the collegiate higher education system. There could be definitely conflict in primary education system. Primary education system, school education system, there should be definitely conflicts. Because we are, I mean, whatever we say about Kerala, we are well off. But when you just look at the whole country, you cannot just the school education policy, because language has, taken it back. But it's very, very, very important that there will be conflicts. Why should we, the primary education or the school education, we should leave it to the states. What is it there? We should facilitate to the maximum, but it should, because they know it better. The states know it better than just giving a whole. What the government has to do is probably financially support. Central government has to finally support the schemes, and the 3-language policy is very important. And then, of course, we all, I have learned only Malayalam, maybe up to 10th standard. I was in Germany for several years. I have seen only, unfortunately, in the 60s, 70s and all that, only German language up to diploma, or diploma is degree in Germany, or postgraduate is only in their language. Of course, our languages are different, but if you know, for example, if you know your language, you will also learn other languages. You will not have any difficulty in understanding other languages. So therefore, in the school education system, there could be definitely conflict. There is, it is understandable. It is understandable and it's reasonable. There will be conflicts, no doubt about it.
So may I also supplement a remark to Dr. Shashivas's question? Education being in the concurrent list. So you have also rightly pointed out the investment behind the clustering, for example, and the implementation plan, of course, and the national education policy put forward some yardsticks in the future action. For example, something that to be achieved before 2022, then 2025, then 2030 and 2040, like that. So in so many cases, the central government and the state governments, different state governments should have, they have to go together. So that is, at the implementation level, there is a possibility of a lot of conflicts, and it will create a lot of challenges in the implementation plan that you have mentioned in your last session of the talk. So many barriers may be created in the implementation level.
Yeah, I think, of course, if you just look at it, Dr. Kasturirangan, everybody knows, for example, even in developed countries, when it comes to school education, at the district level, it's the complete administration, academic administration, quality level, assessment, recognition, teachers' appointment, everything is at the district level. Even in the so-called highly developed countries, they are nothing else come to the central government role. Only big body, for example, this type of number of years, this is the only thing. But when it comes to, for example, they just look at the district, that particular district, appointment of teachers, quality, assessment, even school assessment is there. All these things are restricted to that district. Reason why? Because for each district there is the characteristic, the profile of the district is totally different. For example, that is the point I was mentioning. For example, when you go to Attapadi, even in this state, when you go to Attapadi, you have to just look at it. So by the centralization, decentralization is very, very much important. And we, of course, I think in Kerala, we had good examples of this successful decentralization in certain areas. Maybe primary education, school education has to be definitely not controlled, but facilitated by local level. Look at, for example, the primary school system. Primary school. Look at our country, and maybe you can look at some other states also. Our state things are totally exceptionally good. But you know that even now, when we talk about policies and all that, there are teachers, school teachers in this country who are never going to the schools, and they appoint somebody with. They will pay out of their 50,000 rupees salary, they pay 2,500 rupees somebody, and he or she will go and teach in the schools. This is happening even now in this country. So there is a overall umbrella and all that. But when it is given decentralized with authority to implement and ensure quality, things will happen. Ultimately, the autonomy has to be given to the teacher. We talk about our academic council, board of studies and all that. Even when I was vice chancellor, I used to say that. For example, what is this? For example, it is ultimately the teacher who teaches in the classroom. He or she, this autonomy of the vice chancellor, autonomy of the vice chancellor, autonomy of the board of studies, all these things should percolate down to the teacher in the classroom. That is the conception also. We have all structures created that, and this, when we promote the independent initiatives of the teachers or any in this country, independent initiatives, I think this will work. That has to happen. Now everybody is protected by some sort of a shelter which protects and deprotects. Like everybody without any measurement. So that is the thing. That should not happen. That has to be, if you promote independent initiatives, and this in promotion of independent initiative can happen only at the grassroots level, not at the Delhi level, not at Trivandrum level, but at the grassroots level. That is why look at our premier institutions, premier colleges and schools in this country. There was not state education structure or national education structure and all, but they have all come up in a very big way. Of course, there is a need of feeling of nationalism, feeling of language, all these things. But ultimately, you have to just look at the children who are going to the school.
Okay.
So, as you say, maybe the higher education may be centralized. Probably when it comes to implementation, again, there can be a debate between the state and the center.
A lot of things will be because even now we call it, for example, we have how many types of central universities, state universities, deemed universities, single faculty universities, then national institutions of importance. National institutions of importance. They are also universities. So then there are under department there are several. Each department, for example, whether it be department of department of electronics, department of defense, they have their own education and training institutions. They also defense university, police they have started. Not here in Kerala, I don't know whether they have started, but of course in Delhi, Haryana, they have a police university. So everybody is creating a university. That is, then we are trying to say that existing university should. So this is the paradox I'm telling. That will continue. It's a diverse, very big diversity country, and this will happen. But so things will improve. Things will improve. No doubt about it.
So there's another question. What about the expected change in research funding model with NEP2020? That is from the governmental. Actually,
I have prepared something for the college's research and all that, but of course I didn't want. I will definitely mail it to you. I prepared for this particular lecture only. I have prepared something. I will just mail it to you. But research is, that I do not know whether you know the origin of Mahatma Gandhi University and all that. There was not much. How we started in Gandhiji University. I don't know. In 1983, when I joined, I came here as to Pillai department. There are 4 departments in the university. But one was in your college, CMS college. International relations or something started there, and then Gandhian studies started in Basilius College. Polymer science and chemistry started in St. Thomas College, Pillai, in 1983. And one more thing was there. Physics, the material science started in SB College, Changanashiri, in the corner of some staircase or something. This is the type of. But look at this. Mahatma Gandhi University is now ranked top. You have seen the ranking of Mahatma Gandhi University. You have seen. So, trying to promote research. Now the School of Chemical Sciences, School of Materials, Applied Physics, all these things come out. So research, and then we are also trying to promote research in colleges. So there should be definitely more provision. That is the point I was mentioning. There should be more provision for undergraduate and postgraduate teaching, postgraduate teaching and research in colleges. There should be more earmarked funding, maybe earmarked funding. This proportion you have to consider. This you have to advocate. This probably college teacher, you have to say this. For example, 90% of the teachers who are teaching in the collegiate, in this higher education system in the country are in the colleges. And only 5% of, not even 5%, only 5% of the money is coming for research in such institutions. So I remember I'm a, of course you know that I'm a chemistry professor. So when I was graduating and all that, your college had 2 MSc in chemistry, analytical chemistry or some other branches, and long ago several departments. So several departments, of course our colleges, Kerala colleges, postgraduate department colleges have come up in research in a big way, but more research should be there. Then I think, of course, I was also there. Then this career advancement scheme. That is also probably diluting the quality of research. PhD should not be a compulsion. PhD should not be a compulsion. If it is going to be compelling, probably the quality of the PhD things will be. PhD, and then we should also understand PhD is only a training for research. It is not even research. It is only a training for research, PhD. And after that, only real research is happening. And you can see the number of students who are going out of Kerala and all that, from our own postgraduate, your own colleges and all that. They are all coming in big researchers outside the country. So when it comes to research, what is, for example, you cannot, but in a research grant, even now we can, 3 years, minor research project, you will get major research project, 3 years. Every 6 months, there is an evaluation of the research project. What is it that you can evaluate in 6 months for a research? Nothing. You cannot. So because of this compulsion, people will just do some sort of a framing of all these what is that, achievements, and then say that. So that has to change. So there are also, for example, good colleges coming with research, good publications, even Patnagar prizes coming from affiliated colleges now. Things are happening. So there is potential, but there has to be more strengthening of the teachers who are capable of research in our. So when it comes to overall research, I mentioned about the research, overall research. So many years, so many institutions, we are the second research community, research number of research personnel community in the whole world. But ultimate contribution is not coming. So what is happening is that we have individual capabilities. In our colleges, in our universities, we have individual research capabilities. Individual research capabilities will not lead to a much bigger achievement. It will be more for an individual that achievement is there. But if you just look at, I have just maybe 20 years ago, Jimmy's, who was the director of ISER, Indian Social Science Professor, he was writing a review after his visit to Israel. So they identified some in Israel, it's a very small country, and they identified some 30, 40 youngsters between 25 and 35. Between 25 and 35, they have identified from different subjects, 30, 40 people. Then they didn't have enough. So they supported, the government supported these people without even asking what they are going to do for the next 10 years. They have supported. And they are, after maybe this thing, out of these 30, 35 people, they could get 3 Nobel Prizes. That is right. For example, individual excellences are there, but you cannot achieve. For example, if you just look at Nobel Prize winners in science in US and all that, you will see large number of Indian names, whether it be Subramaniam, Ramasamy, Thomas, this thing, large number of papers carrying their names. And they are doing, for example, all these doctoral fellows and postdoctoral fellows are going, they are doing the excellent work there and they are supporting, but they cannot lead a project. And ultimately, if you just look at a Nobel Prize or a fellowship of Royal Society, is the result of maybe 20, 30 years of systematic research. And this networking is not happening. For example, if you want to achieve something in physics now, I cannot do it alone. Even Raman is a discovery, that's different. But you should have a team of people, 10, 15 people, working for 10, 15, 20 years, uninterrupted, and then achieving a goal. This is not possible. Now we are thinking about, teachers are thinking about a minor research scheme, maybe 1 lakh rupees. Teachers are thinking about one major research scheme for 3 years. This is very important. This is for training. But if you want to achieve the real research achievements, there has to be networking. Maybe 5 people in Mahatma Gandhi University, 3 people in Kerala, that institution, 5 or 6 institutions, 30, 40 people, a special task force, they work together for a particular project and achieve these things. And if you just look at papers in chemical physics or some of the things, you will see a paper with 30, 40 authors, 40, 50 authors, several institutions, CERN, for example, publications from several institutions. And that type of research was the thing which was expected out of this CSIR and all that. This is not happening. Everybody is thinking about a career advancement, which is a very personal thing, and ultimately these things. But it's very important. It's professional is very important, and therefore unlimited support for people who have potential is very important. We have several schemes. For example, the Ramanujan Fellowship by the Government of India. We want to attract very eminent people from outside. Not even nobody is coming back. Nobody is coming back. Again, they will come to do something small and all that. So we have to think big. Extreme. I mean, we have to think big, maybe unconventional. You have to, and when you are thinking big, when you are thinking totally out of the box or jumping out of the box, you will face also difficulties in the country. That, of course, people should be ready to face that also. Then only things will happen.
There's yet another question from Dr. Mariama Matthew, who is the principal of Peak Memorial Training College. She's asking, UGC has made the policy a few years back that college teachers should not focus on research, but should be on teaching. Research is meant in the departments, university departments. Won't this be a disparity?
No, I think research should not be made compulsory for something in teaching, because there could be there are large number of teachers without any research experience. Majority of the teachers without research experience are excellent teachers. So teaching is not really connected with the achievements in research. So we should identify people, but at the same time, we should not say that a researcher in a college, he or should not be deprived of research facilities if he has the potential. But research or a PhD degree should not be made compulsory for a teacher. And if you just look at the overall statistics, those who are probably without PhDs in terms of numbers and in terms of percentages, they are more excellent teachers without research. That is it. So I will not support the idea that it should be limited to university departments. The reason is that the first thing I mentioned, because it is for example, it is for the first year undergraduate student who is coming from this college. He or she should feel the importance of a teacher and researcher. He should just look at like this and then accept. So definitely postgraduate teaching. If there are postgraduate teaching in colleges, they should be encouraged with research workshop, and they should become asked as a university department. Not all departments in college should become university departments, but a department with postgraduate teaching, and a teacher should be given opportunities. There should be several thousands of university departments like in the colleges also. That's my point.
I think sir, no more questions. So may I invite Vice Principal Dr. Mini Chakor to come forward for a few words.
Only 1 minute I will take, because since 1 minute only. This is again a story. You might have heard of Indian Institute of Science. Of course, you all heard of Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. It's a pre-independent institution. The first department of Indian Institute of Science was the Department of Inorganic and Physical Chemistry. First department. It was headed by Nobel Prize winner chemists from UK. They sit there and be head of the department here. That is the type. So that was the type of that. The first department. Of course, it was Tata started. It was Tata Institute. So the first department was the Department of Inorganic and Physical Chemistry, and very eminent scientists, whether it be chemists, they are all professors in Govardhan, ours. You all know our own proud K.L. Sebastian. He was a PhD student there. They are all, a large number of people, you all know. So this department is a research department. They didn't have teaching, except maybe they started teaching 10 years ago, 10 years ago. Before that, there was no teaching. It's a postgraduate teaching, and it was a research department. So this was headed by very eminent people, and for several years, this department was headed by one Rangarajan, one Mr. Rangarajan, not doctor, one Mr. Rangarajan. He headed that department, Inorganic and Physical Chemistry. Of course, some chemistry or physicists may be there. So he was an MSc in Mathematics from Presidency College. MSc in Mathematics from Presidency College. MSc, just MSc. He was heading the Inorganic and Physical Chemistry department as professor of Inorganic and Physical Chemistry department for several decades, and very eminent people he has trained. So Sebastian is a student of Mr. Rangarajan. He has a PhD. So theoretical chemistry. He was a great theory. So this mathematics PG from PG Presidency College. He was professor of inorganic and physical chemistry. Please understand. So I am coming to the PhD, MSc qualification and all that. Then after that, he became the director. After a few years, he became the director of a very applied research institution known as Central Electrochemical Research Institute, CICRI, Karaikudi. You have heard of Central Electrochemical Research Institute, CICRI. So he became the director of that institute, very applied research, electrochemistry, batteries, corrosion, all this. So a mathematics postgraduate teaching chemistry, becoming professor and head of the department of a chemistry department, a pure science department, chemistry, pure science department. And then he becoming head of an applied research institution, CICRI. So now you just look at our colleges, our own colleges. Can I ever imagine, for example, I did an MSc in chemistry from Kerala University. I can only die as a chemistry teacher, not even think about teaching biology or anything else. I can only die as a professor of chemistry. This Rangarajan. So he became the professor of chemistry, mathematics, abstract science. He became the professor of chemistry, which is an experimental subject, trained Rajasekharan, and then he became the director of an applied research institute. That's CSI. So if you know, you will also know how to apply. Knowledge is the prime. And knowledge and the context is the prime. If you know, you will also know. What are we doing? When chemistry is not selling, we will make it applied chemistry. When physics is not selling, we will make it applied physics. When electronics is not happening, then we will make it applied electronics. When biology is not really happening, we will make it applied biology. I think if you know biology, you should also know how to apply that biology. So this is the thing which is happening. So that is where the knowledge is going to be very important. So this stratification of qualifications, this stratification of degrees, for example, publications. Now you know that publication story, quality of research. Nature publishes every year a review of journals, publications of all the countries. India also, every March they publish. So the largest number of, sorry to say that, the largest number of fake journals and fake journals are coming from 2 cities in India. Largest number of fake journals. It is Meerut and Ghaziabad. It is in nature. It's Meerut. And you know that even a journal started by Sir C.V. Raman and published by Indian Academy of Current Sciences. Now they have the fate to say that this current science is not the other current science. This is the way. So now, of course, you receive number of letters. For example, if every day you will see, can you write the thesis of so many? For submitting the thesis, you will get so many. For preparing the synopsis, you will get something. So lot of untoward things are happening because of the compulsions. Because of the number of publications. Of course, now the care journals come because of these compulsions. So again, I am saying that these rules should be for facilitation, not for compulsion. And then, for example, if I want to do, I can do teach chemistry. Why should I have a PhD and all that? I can do it. If I'm happy with that, let me continue like that. And that teacher should be treated equally with that. And then coming back again, comparison. The school teachers and probably they should be paid more. They should be paid on par with even our higher education teachers. That is the thing which is happening in all. So there should not be a stratification regarding the degrees, compulsions, all these things. When you make compulsions like that, you will find a way out. How to escape that particular rule, and then those things we are good at it, and therefore we should be very careful. We should identify quality and then upload. Thank you.
The new education policy gives a more emphasize on the liberal arts that you have said, and may I hope the people and the leaders particularly have the courage and conviction that you have rightly pointed out to take our education sector to the status of atomic energy and space that we have now. And I may invite Dr. Mini Chako to come forward for a few words for gratitude.
Respected Professor V.N. Rajasekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor Somaiya Vidyavihar, Mumbai, former chairperson of UGC and the keynote speaker of today. Dr. Varghese Joshua, Principal CMS College, the moderator of this session and the brain behind this lecture series. Dr. T.P. Shashikumar, our good friend and well-wisher. Dr. M.P. Rajan, Advisor UGC PARAMARSH Scheme. Dr. Joji John Panikar, the IQAC Director CMS College, the coordinator of the UGC PARAMARSH Scheme, and the organizer of this lecture series. Teachers and students from CMS College, our mentee colleges, and all our well-wishers. Dr. Rajasekharan Pillai sir and his family are no strangers to us. Sir was the Vice Chancellor of MG University. His best half, Geeta ma'am, was an integral part of MG University School of Letters, and his children were students of CMS College. Listening to Sir was like reaffirming the concepts of quality in higher education and the pros and cons of implementing it. Sir's observation about encouraging autonomy for teachers is very welcoming. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on your perceptions of NEP2020. Thank you very much. I'm thankful to Joshua, sir, for functioning as a moderator of the session and for your expert comments. I extend a special thanks to Dr. T.P. Shashikumar and Dr. M.P. Rajan for being with us and being part of the discussions and deliberations. Thank you, both of you. On behalf of the IQAC members, I take this opportunity to thank its director, Dr. Joji John Panikar, for organizing this lecture series in the best possible ways. A big thanks to all our mentee colleges and all our well-wishers. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's a great pleasure to meet you all. Thank you very much. We'll be. How many colleges are you nurturing under the PARAMARSH scheme?
Five colleges.
Five. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua ji. Bye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My son was a student of CMS College. Now he's a professor in my ISR Mohali.
Yes, he was my student during his bachelor's.
Okay. Paranarayan, of course.
Please convey my regards to him.
Okay, definitely. Thank you.
I taught him in second year BSc. He was doing his chemistry here, BSc chemistry.
Yes.
I taught him mathematics.
He went to